The footy's back. Indeed, it's been back for 4 weeks now, and there's no better place to be in Melbourne this weekend than an NPL Victoria game. And tonight we're at JL Murphy Reserve in Port Melbourne to observe what is, geographically at least, one of the shortest away days in all of NPL football. South Melbourne making the trip up the road from Albert Park to take on the Sharks of Port Melbourne. Two rivals will be eager to secure an important early season 3-point haul tonight. South held to back-to-back draws in their past two fixtures after opening their season with a win over Heidelberg, while Port Melbourne was unable to back up their dramatic round 2 win over Bentley Greens and fell to defeat against Eastern Lions in their last hit-out. Tonight's fixture is one of 5 games in the Victorian top flight that are on tap, as well as a number of fixtures from the NPL 2 and NPL 3, which are opening their campaigns this week. We'll endeavour to bring you score updates from those fixtures when we're able. My name is Joey Lynch, and I'll be calling the game tonight. You can also read my written coverage of Australian football at ESPN and SBS's The World Game, amongst others. And tonight I'm joined by The Age and Sydney Morning Herald veteran football writer Michael Lynch, who will be casting his eye over not just this fixture, I'm sure, but all the big issues in Australian football. We are live on the NPL Victoria's Facebook and YouTube pages, so if you do have something you'd like to ask Mick, please feel free to leave us a comment. And Mick, well, the early forecast earlier this week said it was going to rain. That's held off. It's a perfect night here on the Bay, and great to be back for some NPL football.
Yeah, it is perfect actually, and it's great to be back here because the last game I did co-call, I think, was a fixture at Port Melbourne, and it started out beautifully and then it lashed with rain. So let's hope that the red sky at night, which we can see in front of us here on this sort of bucolic evening with the trees blowing gently in the wind, let's hope the red sky at night is a fairly good indicator of what's in store. It's great to be here. Of course, no NPL last season, but fantastic to have it all back, and we're just about to kick off, so hand you back to your play-by-play commentator, Joey.
As you see, it will be the Sharks kicking us off, kicking from the right to the left of your screen in their predominantly blue kits with the red stripes. South Melbourne in their away kits in the white, kicking from the left to right of your screen as the Sharks try to get something going early through Chris Duggan, their danger man. 2 goals so far this season. And we'll take you through the hosts lineup first. So starting in goal for them, number 1, Andrew Withers. Number 2, Emlyn Wellsmore. Number 3, Aaron Reardon, making his debut for the Sharks after signing before the 2020 season began. Number 4, the veteran captain, Michael Eager. Number 6, Ben Lifton. Number 7, Chris Duggan, who just had his shot go wide. Number 8, Matt Simonopoulos. Number 10, George Mells. Number 11, Chris Koussis. Number 14, Jackson Courtney Perkins, as South try to get forward. And number 23, John Kuol. For the visitors, South Melbourne in their white, starting in goal, number 1, Pierce Clark. And in front of him, as we see Jerry Salados try to ride some challenges and get things going, as we'll briefly pause as Harrison Sawyer goes down the left to try to get something going, but he's offside. In front of Clark, number 4, Luke Adams. Number 5, Jake Marshall. Number 8, Luke Pavlou. Number 9, the aforementioned Harrison Sawyer. Number 11, Brad Norton. Number 13, Henry Hoare. Number 14, Josh Wallen. Number 15, Marko Jankovic. Number 22, Daniel Clark. Number 45, Jerry Salados. As we get going once again with Port Melbourne, Reardon gets an early touch and he plays it out to Chris Koussis at left back. Reardon might be more familiar to anybody tuning in from Queensland tonight. Spent last season, well, there's a little bit of a doubt there for the Sharks. He spent last season with the Gold Coast Knights in their strong season. Before that was a member of the Brisbane Roar. Won a Y-League title with the Brisbane Roar, as well as made a number of senior appearances. As Ben Lifton can't chase that one down, and it will be an early throw to South Melbourne here on their right flank. Sawyer working against Eager. That will be battle to watch throughout the evening. Of course, Harrison Sawyer, one of the largest attackers in the NPL Victoria, and Eager, the veteran defender, having to marshal him. As now Salados out there on the left. Silky smooth. What can he do? Works the overlap and the ball in, but there's Eager just poking the ball away before Henry Hoare can pounce on it. Of course, make Harrison Sawyer a bit of a throwback. The giant number 9 that you look to get the ball into. He scored a couple of goals this season. Of course, it's the winning goal against what turned into be the winning goal against Heidelberg, where it well, bounced off some form of appendage and into the back of the net as he used his body, and quite valuable to have a giant number 9 that you know can win any physical battle, isn't it?
Well, as my old dad would say, he's a fair-sized lump of a lad. He'd certainly give Rudy Gestead a bit of a run for his money in the size department. Just got to see how mobile he can be and whether he can run out a puff, run out a 90-minute game, you know. But at the moment, it's fairly even Steven, isn't it? Neither side's been able to really impose themselves much on the other. So we'll just have to see how this unfolds.
Chested down there by Wellsmore on the right. Another Queensland product in this Port Melbourne side, which features quite a few players from the Sunshine State, as you would expect, from a side coached by Adam Pittock, himself having made the journey from Queensland to Victoria. That well-travelled pathway from NPL Queensland to NPL Victoria. You see Duggan dropping deep and working in the midfield. He leads Port Melbourne with 2 goals, and Reardon, another touch, works onto his left foot, slices it through to Koussis. Marshalled well by Luke Adams, and it will be a Port Melbourne throw-in on this left attacking flank. Battling for it, and will be another Port Melbourne throw-in here on the left. First real extended attacking sequence for either side so far. Battling for it. Ben Lifton wanted it, and eventually he will win a free kick from the mustachioed Lachlan Keevers. Serving as a referee tonight, assistants are Jackson Landy and Jake Keating. Fourth official is Lazaros Pantalidis. George Mells and Chris Koussis standing over the ball. George Mells signing with Port Melbourne just on the eve of the season after securing his release from his A-League contract. A lot of big bodies there in the middle for both Port and South. Will be Mells on the right boot. Headed strongly away by Sawyer. Salados. It's put straight back in by Tumanopoulos. Wellsmore. This press immediately coming up from South Melbourne that came up strongly from Josh Wallen forces Port to go all the way back to their goalkeeper, but they're going to get set up and come again. Ball is played forward, looking to give Kuwal something to chase. It's Jankovic that gets there first, however. Port will keep it in there. Battling on that flank. And it's going to come back out, and Port can switch the ball if they want. Eager. To Reardon. Reardon looking for Kuwal. Headed clear by the South defence, but it's going to come straight back in once again. Port doing well to maintain the pressure. Left-footed shot comes in. It's spilled by Clark. And Duggan is just unable to get there in time, and Clark will not be punished for the error, but early warning signs for South Melbourne. As a coach, you never want to see your goalkeeper spilling those, do you, Mick?
Absolutely not, no. I think it was Courtney Perkins, was it, who had the shot there? It should have been a regulation take, really, but whether it's early nerves or just unsure handling, but you're absolutely right. He won't want to be seeing too much of that, will he? Anyway, it's a good attack here.
Now Josh Wallen on the ball, and he's riding challenges, gets it out to Salados. Salados cuts inside onto his right boot. Laid off by Sawyer. That's a Clark. Clark whipping a curling left-footed half cross, half shot. Probably was a cross when it left his boot. But whatever it was, gratefully claimed by Andrew Withers. Now he'll get the ball forward to Duggan. Duggan working against Jankovic. And it is the former Bentley Greens man that wins out. Jankovic, who did sign with South Melbourne ahead of the 2020 season, but that was, as we all know, laid waste to by COVID. So he spent 2020 on loan with his former NPL Queensland side, Lions FC, where he won a title. So maybe one of the few players out there that has some fond memories of 2020 is Jankovic. course, Henry Hoare, who he's teammates with, also won that title with Lions. As that's poor touch initially from Wellsmore, but he's not going to be punished as Salados' challenge goes out. However, now South can attempt to box in the throw-in. Battling for it, and eventually it's going to fall in the middle, still battling, and that's going to be a free kick, eventually awarded by Kivas for the challenge on Jackson Courtney Perkins. Yes, another Queenslander on the field tonight. Lots of Kiwis and lots of Queenslanders on the field. Koussis splays the ball forward, looking for the run of Duggan. Duggan looking to try to get an angle to whip a ball in. He's going to get forced well inside. Eventually just lays it off to Koussis, the man that freed him. Ben Lifton now trying to get an angle in on goal, but South are doing very well to get men between them, between the Port Melbourne attacker and the goals. And eventually they'll just force Port Melbourne to reset. Bit of a hospital ball, forces Eager to just come forward and put a boot through it, but it will be Ben Lifton getting to the ball first. Jankovic comes to mark him, but that's another poor ball from Port Melbourne. They're seeing a lot of it, but they don't appear very confident with it yet, as now it comes all the way back to Withers, who just sends it clear again. It was bouncing and a bit awkward for the Kiwi goalkeeper. Eager, the rock at the back, trying to just settle things down. Withers just puts it out with a booming left-footed clearance, we'll say, even though it stayed within his own half. Sawyer, as we have seen him already a few times, playing the hold-up man. Headed clear by Reardon. The ball was intended for Henry Hoare. Oh, and that is definitely a foul on Brad Norton, operating on his usual left flank. Really. Death, Taxes and Brad Norton playing left back for South Melbourne in NPL Victoria. He's been with the club now for almost a decade. And now Jerry Salados will look to swing this one in on that right boot of his. See Harrison Sawyer in the middle for South Melbourne. So is Marko Jankovic, has come up at the back post, and it's going to come into the near post, however. Not a good delivery in the end. Now it's going to be Kuol versus Jankovic.
I was going to say, if you've got a weapon like the big lad up top, you've really got to beat the first man, haven't you, on free kicks, set pieces and corners. You know, you've got to use that aerial advantage for your own gain rather than just waste these set pieces. We all know in football, increasingly games are tighter and tight. Set pieces make all the difference. So you'd expect a little bit better next time.
Jankovic getting back. They're going to be pressured by Kuol. He's doing a lot of pressing early. Kuol, of course, was the man that scored the 93rd minute goal that saw Port Melbourne upset Bentley Greens in round 2. That result counting thus far for the Sharks only points of the season. And we are seeing early South are really trying to, when Port Melbourne are forced backwards, they are really trying to bring this press and force the Port Melbourne back four into errors. And so far we've seen, while they haven't been punished with a goal, their distribution has broken down a number of times now under pressure as Luke Adams gets us started once again.
Yeah, got to say that. South are pressing really well, right from that opening minute, I think, when Jerry Salados chased down a loose ball and forced them to go back to the keeper. And as you say, the distribution from the back under pressure hasn't been that great for Port Melbourne, so they're going to have to work that a bit better.
That was almost very smart from Harrison Sawyer. Saw the ball was going out, so he tried to put it out for a throw-in instead of a goal kick. In the end, didn't quite come off from the big man. Sawyer, another one that spent 2020 on loan in Queensland with the Gold Coast Knights. Signed with South ahead of the 2020 season, where he'd most recently before that had stints in the Philippines and Hong Kong. So a bit of a well-travelled chap as Daniel Clark trying to wins the ball, and frustration from the South. And you hear Coach Esteban Quintes on the South bench yelling for the press, and Josh Wallen, was right there with it. He's been very active early, has Josh Wallen, pressing and haranguing Port Melbourne as they'll switch the play from left to right to somehow earn an inch of space from South Melbourne, but it's not going to come off from them. So you can hear cries of no shot, but the shot will come in, but it's going to go well over the bar again. And Port, they get the shot off, but it wasn't a high-quality one.
Well, no, they'll be happy, South Melbourne, with that all night long. If they're pressing, clogging up the space and forcing them into shooting from distance like that, it's not going to be a problem, is it? So looks like their game plan's working quite well. They just haven't managed to create anything yet.
It looks like, every player on the pitch outside of the goalkeepers moving into one small square near the middle, so it tells us it's going long, which it does. Sawyer trying to get under it, working against Eager. Those two already battling, and as they no doubt will for 90 minutes now. Salados bringing in the press against Withers, and Withers just boots it forward, and it's going to come straight back. And now Sawyer, even the big man, is getting in on the press. I mean, he's almost 2 metres tall, but he's running around out there. Now it's South's turn to maybe work against an embedded defence and try to get something creative going. They're going to try to work the ball down to Daniel Clark on the right. Aaron Reardon got across to get it and then copped a boot and won the free kick. Reardon, who, as I mentioned earlier, I believe, not only did he win a Y-League title with Brisbane Roar, but he actually captains that Brisbane Roar side to the title. So it tells you that he was at least somewhat highly rated by Brisbane Roar. In fact, his coach, when he, as we'll briefly pause, is not kept in. His coach in that Y-League title winning campaign was Drew Sherman, who is now the head of football at Melbourne Victory. So quite a decent presence from that side heading south. Long ball out, Koussis underneath it, heads it straight back. But now Salados has a bit of room to work with. He did score from a similar position last year in that game. His left-footed cross attempt is headed clear by Aaron Reardon. Now referee Lachlan Keevers has seen something he doesn't like, and he's getting the yellow fabric out. Who's he going to book here? Looks like it's going to be for Michael Eager for the attention that he's paying to Harrison Sawyer. So maybe a bit of an advantage to the big man in that now his primary marker is on a caution for the remainder of the game.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He'll have to be working for every free kick, every advantage he can get, and winding up the centre back, won't he? Just to try and hammer that home that yellow ticket, and the fact that Eager's going to have to be perhaps less eager than he might like to be.
And the pun was there, and you took it.
you know, open goal, 6-yard box. Even I can finish sometimes.
Kousas working against Sawyer. And it's going to rebound off the shins of the big man and out for a goal kick. As now it's going to be the turn of Andrew Withers to boot the ball clear. Withers newly signed for this season for Port Melbourne. Spent time with clubs in his native New Zealand and Sweden as Withers, as well as was a starting goalkeeper for 2 seasons in the American collegiate system at St John's. Now Wallen whips the ball back in looking for Salados, but it's going to get cleared by Eager before then. Marshall with a healthy shove, which he's going to get away with. It's going to come all the way back to Pierce Clark. Daniel Clark's ball turns out to be a hospital one. Port can come again through the middle of the park. Reardon. Back to Withers. Tumanopoulos heads it forward. Mells to Eager. Wellsmore, he's got Courtney Perkins out there on the right if he chooses to use him, and eventually he's going to try to splay it out there, but headed back by Bradley Norton. Mells tries to flick it on, but once again Norton getting in there. Sawyer trying to turn, trying to cheeky backheel in the end from the big man. Don't see that often from a bloke almost 2 metres tall, and maybe that's why, because he turned it over. You can just hear every time Port Melbourne get the ball in their defensive half, Esteban Quintes on the south bench is screaming, press, press. And now Courtney Perkins whips the ball back in, and now this is dangerous. Duggan has the shot. It's blocked away by Yankovic. And it's going to get called back for an offside. Duggan, the danger man for Port Melbourne. 2 goals to his name already this season. Was born in Perth, but actually grew up playing junior football in Scotland. Was on the books at a time for Partick Thistle.
Known throughout most of Britain as Partick Thistle nil.
Yeah, not very kind there to...
Well, actually, no, known to all the Scottish people I know as Partick Thistle nil, due to their proximity to Celtic and Rangers geographically, and they've got the thin end of the wedge in terms of achievement as well.
Comes Partick the Thistle, the favourite side of every person in Glasgow that doesn't want to pick a fight in a bar. Of course, spare a thought for Chris Duggan. He actually moved from Britain to Port Melbourne and Australia in early 2020. Probably wasn't the first year in Australia he was anticipating when he did so.
Been a bit of a sort of desultory game really so far, hasn't it? There doesn't, nobody's really created any clear-cut opportunities. The one kind of flashpoint we had was probably a goalkeeper spilling a regulation shot. Neither side's been able to really exercise control on the game. South have been more impressive with the sort of tactical setup, forcing Port Melbourne back and to not really use the ball very well when they're under pressure. But the game, as every game of course, always would benefit from an early goal.
Sawyer going to work against Wellsmore there. Wellsmore gets a boot in. It's kept in. Port trying to matriculate the ball out with some silky passing, but South's press is going to prevent that. Salados. Daniel Clark. The two combining up and down well. Now the ball is whipped in. Sawyer is lurking, but it's headed clear by Wellsmore. But Sawyer gets another chance. Punch clear by the goalkeeper with us that time. Port, they're under siege at the moment. They're just trying to get the ball out, trying to get a bit of breathing room. That was well done by Mells to ride the challenges. And now Kuol, he'll attempt to get something going. He's got a lot of pace, putting Luke Adams under pressure. Luke Adams just forced to boot the ball towards the touchline. And it will be a South Melbourne ball, according to referee Lachlan Keevers.
He is fast, that Kuol, but that was a nice move, you know, involving Clark. And Silados, he always looks very tidy at this level, doesn't he? A player with good technical ability. I know he's not the biggest, but he's got a lot of craft and guile about him, certainly at this level of the game.
Jerry Silados, a former Melbourne City youth prospect. Attacking, winging type. Probably was unfortunate that at the time he was in the City Youth setup, there were a couple of players called Rami Nazarine and Daniel Arzani in front of him.
Yeah, and probably Nathaniel Atkinson as well, yeah, around that time.
Around that time. Oh, this is a bit of a flashpoint in a derby as the referee produces yet another yellow card. So a bit of feeling in this one, and we must say there is a pretty strong crowd here at J.L. Murphy Reserve, the short trip by the South Melbourne fans. Of course, we do know South Melbourne, one of the biggest clubs outside of the A-League. They've got fans everywhere and they come from everywhere, but if any of them do live by Lakeside, short trip for them. Clark plays it back into the middle to Marshall, and it's going to come back out to him. Now this is a bit more dangerous. Wallen, the shot eventually came in.
That was a bit of classic little and large play there, wasn't it? The big striker just nodding it down, and the attacking midfielder having a pop from distance. You know, that was decent.
And just as we speak about the crowd, some of the South fans break out into their first chance of the evening. I'm not sure if that was boisterous horseplay before them or if they were attempting to start a little mosh pit, but whatever it was, they've stopped now. Oh, that's a strong challenge, and it's going to earn another yellow card, our second yellow card in about 2 minutes, basically, for Luke Pavlou.
It was a bit naughty, that. I thought he did come in rather late, didn't he? And these days you can't do it. You just can't do it. Every referee, whether they got VAR or not, is going to give those.
Hopefully that's the last time we mention VAR down here at the NPL. We don't have it down here, and let's keep it that way.
No, if they talk about introducing it at this level, just a crucifix and garlic, please, and tell them to go away. We don't need it. It's a blight on the game. It's a blight on the A-League. It's a blight on wherever it's used, in my view. And you know, I think people in the game, players, coaches, everyone, we just all have to learn to take the rough with the smooth. Sometimes decisions will go your way, sometimes they won't.
Koussis whips it in on his left boot. It's coming to the back post, and that was a very dangerous, just South's marking absolutely breaking down now. Fine delivery from Koussis, finding the hair of Aaron Reardon flicking it on, forcing the strong save from Pierce Clark. That is the best chance of the evening thus far from the debuting Port Melbourne defender, who's right back into the mix again against Harrison Sawyer, and now winning a free kick and copping another boot.
Yeah, that free kick is exactly what the point I made earlier, though. In a tight game where neither side can establish an ascendancy and create much in free play, the delivery from your set pieces is essential. That was a good delivery. The header was on target, and the keeper, who, you know, copped brickbats for his spilling the ball earlier, he deserves a bouquet for that one. He got down well low to his right, and you know, stopped his team going behind. So it just shows you, doesn't it? You've got to get these free kicks, you've got to get these corners, set pieces, you've got to actually use them properly when you get them.
A lot of feeling in this one, as we just saw from the exchanges taking place after that foul on Reardon. Coach Adam Pettick on the Port Melbourne bench absolutely furious. South Melbourne fans not liking the delay in taking the free kick either. That's headed on. Mel's trying to keep it in. He's not going to. Will just be watched over the line by Marko Jankovic, who has been probably the busiest of the South defenders. He's got range and pace. does the central defender. So he's been primarily tasked with cleaning up whenever Port try to maybe get something going in behind the South back four. Luke Adams presented the short option, wasn't used. And instead we're going to go long once again. Sawyer once again trying to get under it against Eager. Looks like Eager's just going to follow him around whenever there's the potential for a long ball to come in. And that's a big coming together. Jackson Courtney Perkins just putting a bit of oomph behind that challenge on Brad Norton. Fairly though, however, according to the referee at least. That's some good hold-up play there, and that's another strong challenge, this time from Eager. The ball is still live, and Salatis has been brought down, and it's going to be a spot kick for South Melbourne.
Was that Reardon who brought him down?
Oh, the defensive breakdowns from Port Melbourne, and there's more feeling coming once back again into this one. Bit of handbags after the penalty is awarded. The pressure from South Melbourne throughout this game, that implied pressure from South, the panic that set in, causes the rash challenge.
It was a shame because Eager had done a really good block, hadn't he, just before that in the passage of play, and I thought they were going to get the ball cleared. But again, it was Salados, you know, who looks technically very good at this level, and he drew the foul, didn't he? And that was it. Now let's see them convert this penalty.
Now it's the big man looking for his third goal of the season and to push South Melbourne up 1-0 in this one. Will be Harrison Sawyer versus Andrew Withers. Maybe referee Lachlan Keevers giving a bit of last-minute advice to Withers. Instructing the players to not move until the penalty kick has been taken, but here we go. Sawyer versus Withers. And it's Withers that wins it. He saved it and he gets the rebound. Wasn't a well-taken penalty, but still Andrew Withers diving down to his left, gets a strong pour out to block it away, and then before South could pounce on the rebound, leaping forward to collect it. And the scores remain tied here at Port Melbourne.
Well, there you go. Excellent save by the keeper, as you said. Wasn't the best penalty, probably not struck with the firmness that it needed to be, but keeper guessed the right way and had the athleticism to not just block it, but to get up and get the rebound first. Just illustrates what I said. Got to take your chances from dead ball situations, and they don't come any better than from a penalty kick. So, we'll just have to see if South can put that behind them, or Port can take a little bit of heart from it and steady as a result. They probably feel like, they certainly got out of jail there.
Well, Port Melbourne weren't happy that the penalty was awarded, so for those of a red and blue persuasion, it will be a case of ball don't lie with the penalty save. As now Norton tries to keep this one in, and he's going to not be successful in that endeavour. The South Melbourne, a golden opportunity slips by. The smallest man on the field wins a penalty, but the biggest man on the field unable to put it away. And it is, well, you must say, Port Melbourne versus South Melbourne, it's not one of the most marquee rivalries or derbies in Victorian football, but there is quite a bit of feeling seeping into this one early. Some rash challenges, some pushing and shoving. Two sides clearly want this one.
Well, yeah, because it's early in the season. They're both sort of mid-table. There's a bit of a scramble to, establish.
So now it was just Kual trying to come in and whip the ball back, but he's marshalled well. Kept the way. Kousas now left with the ball in, just unable to get there in time was Chris Duggan. Fall out again to Tumanopoulos. Trying to cut back inside now. Port just trying to hustle and bustle their way into the area was Jackson Courtney Perkins, and he did go down, but was never a penalty, but it is a corner.
Yeah, as I was saying, obviously, I don't think so much it's derby, niggle and rivalry as just early part of the season, 3-4 games in, both teams sort of in the middle ruck, trying to establish themselves to set out a kind of, where we are, really, benchmarks where we are. You probably need to play 7-8 games to get a bit of an idea, and points earned at this part of the year are always seem more valuable late in the season when it's harder to accrue them, or it often feels as if it is.
Kousas whips the ball in towards the back post. Eager was waiting, but he's not going to get a chance. As Michael Lynch downplays the nature of the Port Melbourne-South Melbourne derby. He'll never get a job on Fox Sports that way. As Mells whips another ball in towards the back post. Just accumulated pressure building from Port Melbourne. Kousas on the unfamiliar right flank, but he's able to get the ball onto his left boot, and it's going to float all the way through to Jankovic, who just kind of just pokes the ball away. But now South maybe have a chance to get out in transition, but no, a strong sliding challenge will at least give Port a chance to get back and set up, and it's Aaron Reardon. He's been busy in his debut for Port Melbourne, has the Queenslander. Sawyer trying to hold the ball up. Wasn't the most well executed of hold-ups, but it did eventually work. But Port Melbourne now coming away with the ball. Tumanopoulos in the middle of the park. His pass, however, is intercepted. Here we go, South can come again. Daniel Clark is in acres of space here, and there is acres of space on the overlap, but nobody running to provide an option there. So instead they will go back to the left flank, will South Melbourne, and there is an overlap there, but not taken. Wallen now on the ball. Just whipping a ball into the middle. Sawyer is lurking. It did bounce off his head. Didn't make the best contact in the world, however. As the South fans here break out into the South Melbourne chant once again. Getting set for this one to get sent long again. Duggan. Jankovic at his back. And that one is not going to get kept in by Courtney Perkins, and it's going to be a South ball. And a long ball over the top looking for Kuol, but it's well taken by Clark in the South goal. Coming out with a strong grab. See, there is a press from Port Melbourne. It's not quite as fierce as the South one until just then, trying to spring the ball. And that is going to be a handball against Kousas. Kousas as well has been busy tonight. A lot of love for Withers' penalty save on the Facebook comments. We thank you for tuning in and joining us if you are on the Facebook and or YouTube, wherever you happen to be in Melbourne, in Victoria, in Australia, or indeed around the world. Fantastic night for some NPL Victoria action as Tumanopoulos in the middle comes under pressure from a number of South players, but now the ball is at the feet of Mells. On the overlap now, this is looking promising for Port Melbourne. Can they get a ball in? They've got Duggan in the area waiting for one. And eventually that's... Well, it came in, but there was no Port Melbourne player underneath it, but it's going to come out to Kousas anyway. He can't find a teammate though, and Wallen boots it clear. Sawyer giving chase, Reardon as well. Off the head of Reardon and out for a throw-in. Slatus kept it in, off the head of Reardon. Didn't go in the right way. Luke Adams, another Kiwi on the park. Apparently, reading through some of the responses we've been getting on Twitter to this game, there is apparently 12 former NPL Queensland players on the park between the two sides tonight. So, as I mentioned, that famous pathway from NPL Queensland to NPL Victoria, in strong evidence for it tonight. And as I mentioned before, of course, Adam Piddick as well, the coach of Port Melbourne from Queensland, who made his way down here to try himself in NPL Victoria. Now there's men waiting in the middle for Courtney Perkins. Instead he turns around and finds Duggan. That is whipped in, flicked on, knocked clear by the South defence. Danger signs now, and Reardon just gets in front of his man, and then he's going to win the free kick. Josh Wallen just waited for the ball, and Reardon nipped in front of him.
He's had an eventful kind of opening half hour, 35 minutes, hasn't he, in his new club, Reardon? I mean, I think he's looked quite good, actually. He's got a lot of pace and a lot of aggression and no little technical ability. He also gave the penalty away, didn't he? So it's certainly an opening 45. I suspect he's going to remember, but he did ever so well there. He certainly anticipated that and got there far quicker than Warren and got the free kick.
This one delivered in by Mells towards the back post. It is headed on goalward. Not sure whose head that came off. But in the end, it was a rather comfortable collection for Pierce Clark. Now the press from Port Melbourne coming in. Mells applying the pressure. Kuol was there as well. Salados tries to flick it on. It's going to fall instead to Sawyer, who just shrugs off Reardon. The big man showing his strength, as Clark on his right eventually uses him. Probably should have gone in a couple of seconds earlier if the overlap was there. Instead, South will have to build. Wallen. Okay, with Pavlu there, and eventually they'll splay the ball out into the left for Yankovic to go on a bit of a run with, and he's going to tee up. Looked like maybe a shot there from the central defender. Stars in his eyes. And his partner at the back there, Jake Marshall, without him, just boots the ball clear. It's going to come straight back. Turnover now. This is dangerous. Wallen can advance with the ball. Salados out on the left. Going to work. Gets past Elsmore, and he puts in a low dribbling effort after beating Wellsmore that is comfortably saved by Withers. Emlyn Wellsmore, as we have said, one of the Queenslanders out there, former Brisbane Roar youth product, former New Zealand youth international as well. So ticks off two of the boxes as being a Queenslander and a Kiwi out there. Spent last season at the Gold Coast Knights, did young Wellsmore before he made the trip south. But now the ball is coming down his flank. Wallen is going to play it across to Salados, headed clear by the aforementioned Wellsmore. It's going to be a Port Melbourne throw. So the game may be settling a little bit after what was a frantic middle period. Of course, the biggest chance of the game to either side coming from the penalty spot. Salados winning a penalty that was not able to be converted by Sawyer. Strong save from Withers, diving down to his left. Pavlu heads it forward. Flick on again, attempted by Sawyer for Salados. Instead, it's going to get picked out by Port Melbourne. But then young Jerry applying the pressure very well there. Withers just able to get it out in time to Reardon. Now Reardon and Eager, they're going to have a rare moment's peace here. Courtney Perkins will get the ball here on the right. No going. Port are going to have to recycle. Trying to get a bit of triangle work. Either Eager, Mells and Reardon. Just the defensive structure from South Melbourne. It's very sound right now. Port's struggling to create an angle or create an opening that they can just work their way through as Wellsmore runs forward, a defender running forward and giving a numerical advantage. Always helps in these situations, but he can't find one.
They just can't get an overload. They can't get an overload because South drop and defend so deeply when not in possession, you know. It's got to be tiring, though, playing that way. So you wonder, will the gaps start to come in the second half? They invariably do.
Headed forward by Reardon, but it's going to get found by a man in a white shirt first. Daniel Clark's got a bit of space to operate in on the right, which he's going to instead ignore and cut inside. Henry Hoare plays it out to the left. South getting men in the middle. Played in. Fell between Clark and Sawyer. Eventually came back out to Saladas. His low effort skied upwards. And eventually gratefully claimed by Andrew Withers. A strong chest mark.
Well, I don't know, you know, Sawyer looks like he probably could be gainfully employed in the goal square at the MCG, doesn't he? Size of him.
Terminopoulos just plays it out to his right. Now he whips the ball forward looking for Kuol, but Kuol had strayed into an offside position. And you see maybe a bit of frustration emerging with the Port attack against this low block. Duggan just a few choice words for his defenders after their decision to play the ball forward for Kuol in an offside area of the park. Kousas whips it forward. Intended for Kuol, but it's picked out before it could get there. Lifton plays the ball back. Kousas now. Angled ball played well, but it's a strong challenge that came in. It was a completely fair one. Kuol has remained down. Completely fair in the referee's eyes, at least.
I thought it was an excellent bit of defending, actually, by James Marshall, wasn't it? You know, got over there, snuffed out the run. But Port are right to be looking for Cool. They've got to try and create space somehow, draw the defenders out and create one-on-ones out wide for him because he is so fast. He's at least going to be able to create something. Whether he'll finish it or not is a matter for conjecture. But when you've got pace like that, you just need to find a way to create a kind of paddock for him.
Hopefully, as he's now treated for an injury, that pace isn't affected. As we also saw the fourth official, Azeros Pantelidis, indicating that there will only be one additional minute added on here at the end of the first 45 as we tick away. It hasn't really, aside from the penalty, not a lot of stoppages in this one.
And the game hasn't really caught fire, has it? You know, as you said, a little bit of niggle, bit of needle, couple of bookings, but it just something good needs to happen to shake off the kind of arm wrestle that we're involved in at the moment. But that's football. It can be attritional, can't it? And then there's just one moment that changes everything.
Jankovic now. South work the ball from right to left, but see the low block emerging of Port Melbourne. With 1 minute to go in the half, you can't imagine that the Sharks will be taking any risks in their defensive setup. Maybe there's time for South Melbourne to just put in one long ball for Sawyer, which they do. Sawyer, he rises, and he got ahead on that one. However, couldn't direct it goalwards, and the referee will blow for half-time, signalling the end of a first half, which, as Mick just surmised, threatened at time to maybe spark to life, but never quite did so. Instead, we are still waiting for something to break out. The best chance of the game so far, that penalty, won by Salados and taken by Sawyer, which the big man wasn't able to direct far enough away from Withers in the Port Melbourne goal as he got down low to his left and kept it out. But What do you think needs to happen in the second half, Mick, for just something to happen for either side?
Well, goal is the obvious statement there, isn't it? It'll open things up. But look, South can be pleased with themselves defensively. I think the way that they've shut down chances. Port Melbourne have been restricted to a couple of long-range shots and some sort of crosses flung over, all of which are usually a sort of 50-50. So I think they can be pleased with that. I think given his pedigree and where he's played before, I think for Port Melbourne they probably need George Mells to get on the ball and start to direct the traffic maybe a bit more, stamp his authority on the game and make things happen. And for South, they're the away team, I guess, although it barely feels like an away game. You go in away from home, scoreless, you're probably entitled to feel you're doing okay. They'll feel, though, that they should be in front because of that penalty. I just think really over the next first 15 of the second half, South probably need to press on a bit more, and I think Mells needs to start to direct the traffic and try and find the pace of Cool in space and see if that can create anything. Both goalkeepers, apart from the Pearce's original fumble very early on, have looked quite comfortable and steady though. So this has got all the makings of another stalemate in the second half, unless somebody can make an early breakthrough.
Well, we will be back for the second 45 in a little bit. We did tell you there were other games going around, but there are no goals in any of the 5 to report. So we'll see you for the second half here on the NPL Victoria Facebook and YouTube pages.
Basically went bang, bang, bang and put Perth to bed. Western Sydney are good. I still like it.
He's out sailor to
both sides have been pressing, almost equal number of shots. Both sides have been employing a press and poking and prodding, but really the game still looking for that spark that will ignite it and set both sides ablaze with attacking intent. Best chance of the game so far has come from the penalty spot. Harrison Sawyer stepping up for South Melbourne, but was unable to direct his shot far enough from goalkeeper Andrew Withers in the Port Melbourne net. He got down low to his left, got a big pour out to put it back into play, and then leapt on the rebounds before South could swarm. As we also see, South Melbourne have brought on their first substitute of the game, and indeed the game's first substitute, as Liram El-Mazi comes on for South. Now, he normally is a defender, so he's probably heading to the back line, as the fourth official has brought up the subs board, but I can't see. Here it is. There we go. So we can see now he's replacing Luke Pavlu. So maybe moving in and playing as a 6, which he has also played whilst with Altona before he signed with South Melbourne. My name is Joey Lynch. I thank you for joining me today on the NPL Victoria Facebook and YouTube page. I am joined on co-commentary by sorry, some slight technical problems there, but we are back online. Yeah. My name is Joey Lynch. As I say, thank you for joining me on the call. And now, having finished his conversations down on the touchline and climbing back into the tower to join me, is the Ages and Sydney Morning Herald's chief football writer, the veteran football writer. I think at this stage, probably the longest tenured major football writer in the country, still working, Michael Lynch. And as we now get set for the second half, we see South Melbourne have brought on a new player, but it is a 6, so probably not what the game needed to burst into life.
No, probably not. But yeah, that longest tenured line, you know, it's a bit like give him a gold star for hanging around, really, isn't it? But joking aside, I have seen a lot of the game, and there are still a lot of people with a lot of experience involved at different levels covering, reporting the game. You know, Marco Monteverdi up in Brisbane's been around a long time. Val Miliaccio in Adelaide still doing.
And apologies if we did drop out there, just a couple of technical difficulties here on our end, up here in the tower here at J.R. Murphy Reserve. But we are back now, as we see, maybe just in time, as Port Melbourne getting forward. The cutback is on, and what an absolute fantastic save from Pierce Clark. Absolutely picked that one out. The shot came in, and for all intents and purposes, it looked like Port Melbourne had just about put themselves up 1-0. It was a fantastic move to move themselves down the right flank and get in, but Pierce Clark somehow just getting his hand up and deflecting that ball away. Absolutely fantastic work from the South Melbourne custodian.
Yeah, it was a fantastic reflex save, but Port caused that by getting down the flanks quickly and getting in behind them, moving the ball quickly across. So hopefully we'll see a little bit more of that, because it's what the game needs, doesn't it? It hasn't really been that scintillating, we've got to admit, yeah.
Fantastic effort there, and I think it was from Jackson Courtney Perkins, one of 12 Queenslanders playing today. Boy, oh boy, he probably thought he had his the first goal of the game. And indeed would have been his second goal in a Port Melbourne shirt, but to no avail. But now you can see Port Melbourne, every man on the pitch other than Port Melbourne goalkeeper Andrew Withers is moving in to apply pressure here near the south goals. But initially it looked like maybe they were going to get out of it, but it's a back and forth battle, and now Salados comes out. Now chance in transition, something for Josh Wallen to chase. Sawyer is in the middle, can it find him? No, flicked away by Eager, and it's going to come out to Tumanopoulos there to just boot the ball clear. Now Ben Lifton working in the middle of the park. He's got a bit of space to look up. What does he do? He finds his man Chris Duggan. Chris Duggan is going to play a ball. He was looking for the pace of Kuol. Bit of a miscommunication there, as you can see the two of them exchanging words afterwards. Kuol pointing out maybe other options or where he wanted the ball. The Southgate going from the resulting goal kick. Yankovic. Once Salados comes under immediate pressure, he's bundled over, but no free kick. Duggan gives chase. Yankovic gets there first. Clark, that attempted clearance nowhere near as good as his save he just had. Lifton and Daniel Clark underneath it. Almazi coming over the top with the header, and that will go out for a throw-in. Reardon. Out there, not to Kousas. He's going to cut back inside, looking for options. To Monopoulos, plays it back to Reardon. Eager. Wellsmore. Now Wellsmore has acres of space to work in. Clark tries to shepherd him out to the right. The ball goes to Kuol. Eventually collects, but the pressure comes in immediately. Wellsmore, his pass cut out. Yankovic does very well to look up and try to splay the ball out, but the pass not as good as his first touch. Kuol, couple of step overs outside of the boot cross. Oh, that's a shot, but it's got sailed over the bar. Looks like it's taken a touch off a South Melbourne player, and it will be a corner kick. Golden opportunity there for Ben Lifton. Just couldn't keep it down, even though, did take a touch, so who knows where it would have gone without one.
That was actually a very nice deft touch by Kuol there, because he did create the space well, attack the space at pace, but it was a lovely flick over from the outside of his boots to set up that really excellent chance.
Now, was a low bouncing corner. Nobody able to claim it. Wellsmore again has acres of space, and again he's going to burst forward. Tries to knock it in. It's going to get skied by Daniel Clark. Headed forward and claimed well by Pierce Clark. And now chance for South to break out in transition. Get forward before Port Melbourne can set up in their defensive structure. Saladas, he's got Sawyer in the middle, right where he wants him. Tries to pick him out. He knocks it down. Strong sliding challenge. Another shot comes in. Well blocked. Daniel Clark had a golden opportunity at the top of the penalty area, but Andrew Withers able to meet the challenge. Now another chance maybe. Henry Hoare couldn't get the proper shot off. Booted clear. Yankovic brave with the header. Well flicked on by Bradley Norton. He's got the overlapping run. But the touch for Henry Hoare just couldn't find him before Withers swallowed it and breathed, everybody.
Got to say, we've seen more in the last 5 minutes, I think, than we saw in terms of incident throughout virtually the entire first half. So good signs here. That was a very good shot by Clark. It was, it wasn't a golden opportunity, I didn't think, in that he was outside the box or just on the edge and there were players in front. But what it was an excellent save, because the keeper wouldn't have seen it straightforwardly. So both keepers have really done all right here.
Now that was a very healthy shove from Michael Eager. I'm not sure how much of the ball he knew about when he was making it, and he does have to be just a bit careful, does the veteran Port Melbourne defender. He has already found his way into referee Lachlan Keever's book in the first half, but maybe a bit more for just sustained niggling more so than anything else at the time. In fact, one wonders if he wasn't on a yellow card, would that have earned him one? It's all moot now. It's Norton and Salados standing over it. No prizes for guessing who they'll probably be looking for. As it swung in. Was headed goalward. Off the head of Yankovic, I believe. However, it sailed wide. Wellsmore. Back to Eager. Salados applies the pressure. Mells. My co-caller Michael Lynch was calling to get more involved at half-time and to direct the game with his pedigree as Eager advances forward. Now Ben Lifton has advanced into a lot of open space on the right, but Port instead are going to go down the left. Gives Kuol something to chase. And he's collected from behind, and much to the delight of the assembled Port Melbourne fans over there by the fence, has won a free kick. And now there's a chance for Port Melbourne to get some of their tall timber forward. But it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world, because every single South Melbourne player, aside from their two diminutive figures in the wall, are heading right into that penalty area to clog it up and make things difficult. So Reardon, Kuol and Eager at the back post. And they'll make the runs, and it's a low one coming in, and Sawyer booting it clear with his boot rather than his head.
He's had a decent game, hasn't he, Sawyer? He's got involved all the time, you know, even defensively. He presents a pretty big barrier when he drops back to defend at set pieces. But, you know, I think his attitude and work rate's been excellent, really, hasn't it?
Oh, it's a naughty challenge there, and it's going to earn Port another chance to whip a long ball into the penalty area, or a low bouncing one if they do so prefer. Perhaps with the amounts of tall players that South Melbourne have, the likes of Yankovic and Sawyer, maybe one of those grubbers into the area is their best path to goal from this situation, hoping that one of their players can get on the end of it first.
Well, a bit like skimming stones across the top of the water, eh?
No, it's come in high, and it's well, Reardon was going to the back post. I'm not sure if it was intended for him or the goal. Regardless of what it was, Pierce Clark collected. And then he fell into Aaron Reardon. Maybe it was a good thing he did, because otherwise he might have fallen into the goal post. Now turnover and a chance for Port Melbourne to get something going here. Kousas out there on the left. He's put the ball in, but it's cleared away by Daniel Clark. Booted for Sawyer's got some work to do. Does well to ride the challenge of Reardon and flick it over to Salados. Now does Salados have the touch to find the big man forward? He's cut back inside really well. That's a beautiful ball, and the shot. It's good football in the end, just until that final shot, unable to make proper contact, and that's not good football. As Withers' clearance has gone straight to Bradley Norton. Now a chance for the veteran left back to get forward. He'll instead play it to Clark. Clark's ball, he's polished off his own error, and he gets the ball to Salados now. Coming inside. Ben Lifton nips in. And now Lifton can advance forward. A lot of space for him to work in. And that is not going in the highlight reel. Straight out to nobody in particular around from the former Brisbane Roar and Wellington Phoenix man. Something to chase for Duggan. However, it's going to be Jake Marshall that gets there first and just leads to South clearing the ball.
He did well there, Marshall, because, you know, one slip and Duggan was in, he kept his head and kept him off well.
Mells. Still on the ball is Mells. Can he find a way to get the ball in? He can't, because Bradley Norton is there to just block it. However, it's not all bad, as it is another corner kick here for Port Melbourne. And I did tell you before the half-time break that there hadn't been any goals. Well, that has since changed, which we'll update you with after this corner kick from Koussis on his left boot. Men moving around. It's a good corner. Eager's header is cleared off the line by Harrison Sawyer. The two have been battling all day up the other end, and now the roles are reversed. As a clash here near the halfway line as well. A lot of feeling down here near the sideline. Hall was brought down, and it's going to earn Emlyn Wellsmore his way into the referee's book. It's frantic period of play. As I was saying, Eager has been trying to keep Sawyer out of his goal all night, and now it's the big South Melbourne man that keeps the veteran Portman's header off the line. Dramatic scenes here at JL Murphy Reserve. Well, and after all that excitement, as I was saying, Melbourne Knights have found themselves into a 2-0 lead over Hume City. Hume are also a man down, so not looking good for head coach Nick Hegarty's side. Green Gully, through who else but Alex Salmon, have found themselves up 1-0 over Heidelberg United in that game. And Avondale FC, Liam Boland from the penalty spot, put themselves up over Dandenong City. Dandenong City at the foot of the NPL Victoria table in the relegation spaces, alongside Dandenong Thunder after the opening rounds of the season. So not the start to that game that they would have wanted. These two sides still locked at 0-0. As that's a strong left-footed effort that's come in from Hall. Saw the goals and took a chance. It was initially spilled by Withers, but he collects. And well, we are still locked at 0-0 here, but you have to say in the second half, it's not for want of trying.
No, it's been a miles better second half after a rather turgid opening 45. We do see this happening so often, though, in so many games, don't they? After the hour mark, the match starts to open up, bodies tire, players' concentration levels fall, and opportunities come.
Now that is a ball into space for Kuol to chase. Jackson Courtney Perkins now, a couple of step overs, and he did send his man, and that's well done by Kuol. Couple of step overs, opening up the angle and putting in the shot. Would have been one for the highlight reel had the Port attacker been able to pull it off.
Yeah, he's done very well there. So was the keeper, though. It came through some legs there. He would have seen it perhaps quite late, and it was low. But, good play all round there.
Oh, excellent change of direction from Gerasolitis to lose all his men. Oh, just the sliding challenge at the last to prevent the ball from getting to Daniel Clark. It was very much needed. The game is indeed opening up here, and we are seeing some just more bits of individual skill doing it as well. Kuol up one end with his step overs and cut inside. The fantastic change of direction from Salados up the other end. Now the corner is brought in. Men rising. It's at the back post. Almazi was on his own. Couldn't get a shot off. Back to Salados working against Kuol. His left-footed effort. He was falling as he did it. Couldn't make proper contact, and it's going to go out for a goal kick. You feel as though it is just a matter of time until one of these sides are able to turn one of these chances into the opening goal of the game.
That was an excellent change of direction by Salados. You feel if South are going to do something, it'll be him that is the creator.
Still 0-0 here at JL Murphy Reserve. In the NPL era, there has only been 2 draws in the 13 contests between these two sides. South very much with the rub of the green, having won 8 games compared to Port Melbourne's 3. Well, flicked on by Duggan to nobody in particular, really, because even if Kuol had been making a run forward, he was too far away from his teammate to probably get there. Sawyer out there on the left. He's coming back inside. Norton now. He's going to try to flick it up, but it's going to go out for a goal kick. And now South, just this extended bit of pressure coming in. And there's a bit of fast and furious action breaks out on the road behind the goals, as you might have seen on your screens. It's going to be Daniel Clark to take this one, as we also see Port Melbourne preparing a substitution. It will be Toeb Tafik coming on, an attacker. Ball is whipped in, men arriving in the area. Knocked clear, Clark can put it back in, which he does. Again cleared by Port Melbourne, but this time it will be Jankovic collecting the ball. Hoare trying to get the ball in, but it's taken a deflection and gone out for another corner, and a bit worse for wear after that as well from the Port Melbourne man.
I think what will happen in this game, though, if it carries on scoreless, there will come a point, perhaps 15-20 to go, when both teams will probably start to go into their shells again, thinking we don't want to lose this. We have at least 1 point here, and caution could become the watchword. I hope not, but that's often what we see, isn't it?
Yeah, well, as you say, we definitely hope not. Hope both sides continue to show a bit of gumption. Maybe one of them could pull their fingers out and get the opening goal of the game. That would be nice. And as we're still pausing for treatment here. Do have a substitute for Port Melbourne being prepared. Whether they use to switch up their plans remains open. Well, it remains something that only coach Adam Pittock can decide. As we see Jackson Courtney Perkins make it to his feet. And he's walking off to the sideline. So it doesn't look like. So he will not be able to aid Port Melbourne in defending this corner kick. Potential opening for South Melbourne. You can see a lot of free men outside the area lurking. You've got 3 men on the goal line. Harrison Sawyer just off the goal line. Liram El-Mazi and Josh Wallen at the top of the area. Jankovic makes a move, comes in looking for Sawyer. Sawyer did get a glancing header on it downward, and it's bounced over the bar. You could see that was a bit of a routine that South Melbourne had worked on. Couldn't quite come off as we now prepare for Port Melbourne's first change of the game. Tawib Tafik coming on. And it will be Kuol making way.
Quite surprised by that, because Kuol's looked dangerous unless he's run out of gas and or he only ever plays this length of time. But I thought he's actually looked quite good for them. But fresh legs and plenty of impetus from the sub. Let's see what happens.
Tafik has spent time with Bulleen Lions and Raldemere Lions as well in NPL New South Wales. So bit of a departure for him from the jungle to the ocean. Lions for Sharks. Oh, that was very naughty. Jackson Courtney Perkins going into the book now for the strong challenge. Just picked up a knock and
strong challenge. Call it what it was. It was an over-the-top foul.
All that. OTT foul. Yankovic gets us going. Plays it out there to Luke Adams out on the right, and he's going to lob a ball in. Nodded on by Sawyer, looking for Salados, was picked out. Lerimal Marzi coming in, trying to collect it. Said it's Phil Stahor. Yankovic. Norton spins and goes for a run up the touchline, but the ball will curl away from him. Booted clear. Yankovic will get another chance. Lifton chested down. Hoare applies the pressure. To Monopolis, plays it forward. Oh, and just big collision coming in there. Welcome to the game to Feek. There's opposite number now, Daniel Clark. Adams looking for a teammate, finds Salados. Headed onwards, Daniel Clark giving chase. Can he keep it in? Under pressure from Kouskas. Now Kouskas tries to keep it in, and he's going to do so until the sliding challenge of Daniel Clark. Bit of tit for tat over there on the flank, and it eventually goes out for a goal kick. And Andrew Withers decides, right, we've seen quite enough of play on that flank. I'm going to move the ball over here to the right side of my penalty area and just hoof it long. Yankovic getting underneath it for South, wins the header well. Sawyer. Wellsmore tried to get in front of it, but he misjudged the path of the ball, allowing Sawyer to find Hoare. Hoare just splays it in. Salados on the right foot. Punch clear, comes straight back out, but his teammate was offside. Josh Wallen.
It's a good effort there from Salados, and the keeper took the safety first option to punch, and probably a little bit lucky that the offside was called, although obviously Wallen didn't finish it anyway. But, you know, they're peppered, aren't they? Both sides, they're coming close. You think there's a goal in it, but it's going to be intriguing to see who gets it first.
Yankovic again winning a header. It's been important for this South defence tonight. It's worked out on the left now to Feek. The substitute, can he inspire his side to life? Looking for teammates in the middle, knocked clear. Salados looks forward. Sawyer back to goal again. Oh, that's another sliding challenge. Henry Hoare, not a fan of it. It's going to earn Tawib Tafik yet another yellow card.
Yeah, well, I think that one was highly merited. He's obviously come in off the bench, he's revved up and pumped up, wants to make an impression, but he's lost his head a little bit there and slid in really very late, and it was a bad challenge on a man, Henry Hoare. He sounds like a character from an 18th century novel.
He's coming in full of fire and pep, young, dumb and full of spirit. Tawib Tafik trying to, well, we did see him nearly inspire his side to life with a couple of cheeky step overs on one end and then the sliding challenge on the other. I don't know, would you have described that one as an over-the-top challenge?
Well, it was, I mean, clearly it was. He got booked for it, didn't he, and gave away a free kick.
Eager and Salados now. Eager gets to the ball first.
He's done well, hasn't he, Eager, all night. You know, he's showing a lot of that experience and know-how built up over a long time in the game. It's not all over yet, though. He's still got to contend.
Sawyer trying to get there to the header. Just can't quite get there. Wallen finds Clark. Another chance. Whips the ball in. Can only find Port Melbourne players. Time in the middle of the in the field for Port Melbourne. Tafik, he's been busy since he's come on. Now chance, and that's a shot just past the far post from Chris Duggan. He's the danger man for Port Melbourne. almost.
Yeah, I thought that was definitely going to be the opener there. That was a good move worked out. Courtney Perkins fed him, didn't he? And he's just gone across the keeper just a fraction too much. But it seems to me Port are getting a bit more joy down this right flank, aren't they?
Surely the opening goal of the game must arrive soon. We've had enough chances. Penalties, shots cleared off the line. Well, perhaps the question might be, what will we see first? The game's first goal or the game's first red card?
I reckon we might see the latter. I mean, you'd be pretty excited if you'd back the scoreless draw, though, wouldn't you? The way things are going now.
Looped forward. Reminder to love the game, not the odds. It's Daniel Clark now, ball over the top for Sawyer. The keeper has come out, but Sawyer's going to get there first, and then he's going to get brought down. Andrew Withers is going to receive his marching orders. We were just discussing what would come first, the game's first goal or the game's first red card. Well, it's the latter, and it's been awarded to one of the more unlikely figures on the park, Port Melbourne's goalkeeper. And indeed, Port Melbourne's goalkeeper being dismissed perhaps might lead us to seeing the former sooner rather than later.
Well, I got that right, didn't I? I did say red card before a goal. Didn't quite expect it to come that quickly. Certainly not for a goalkeeper, but I think the ref's probably got no option. I mean, Sawyer actually did flick the ball round him, didn't he? And would have been clear on goal, if he'd managed to stay on his feet. But Withers has come out, and I don't think there's any malice in it, but he's got his challenge wrong, and he's probably got to pay the penalty for that. Now, the dynamics of this game will invariably change. Substitute keeper, a man down. I would think this is where we might see Port dig in and say, right, we'll settle for the scoreless draw here.
Well, Andrew Withers is absolutely furious, continued to argue his case for quite a while after the card was produced. Have never seen a card reversed after it's been produced from the pocket, so I'm not sure how much luck he would have had. He's still arguing his case with the linesman now. South fans are providing him a bit of helpful advice about which direction the tunnel is. As we see Evan Marco Giannakis, formerly with Avondale, the backup goalkeeper, coming on. He definitely wasn't expecting to come on tonight. It was probably quite a bit of intelligent play from Harrison Sawyer, because from his trajectory of pursuit of the ball, it would have been very hard for him on his left foot to swing around and shoot into the open goal, but perhaps he knew he didn't need to shoot. All he needed to do was to get there first, and then the keeper was going to clear him up and earn his marching orders. Linesman on this side of the park trying to convince the Port Melbourne bench to calm down, telling them that that's enough. But now Port will have to hold out, down their first choice goalkeeper, down a man. And South circling as Norton whips the ball in. Can't find a teammate, but God, I mean, welcome to the game, Evan Marco Giannakis. Not only are South swarming, and well, I mean, you can see on the screen there, Harrison Sawyer has about a head on him in terms of height, the Port Melbourne backup goalkeeper. And not only that, but the South Melbourne fans have made their way to behind that goal. So Evan Marco Giannakis will be getting some pretty active feedback on pretty much every single thing he does from now on. Let's see, ball whipped in, nodded forward. Jankovic is at the back post. He's falling backwards, and he's put the ball not in the net, but on top of the net. Has the South defender. Would have been spectacular had he been able to do so, falling backwards. But Port get away with one again.
Well, yeah, and good to see the fans getting involved. It's what you want, isn't it, in a game? I think if you were South Melbourne now, you'd probably just say we're going to take this game to them and shoot on sight. Inexperienced younger keeper, I presume, and not in touch with the rhythm and pace of the game yet. Just have a go as often as you can.
Well, we have seen that Withers perhaps not as busy, at least from open play, as Piers Clark has been, but did have to make that big penalty save in the first half.
I was going to say, it's a game he's not going to forget, is there? He made a couple of excellent stops as well from open play, but the penalty stop and then getting red carded.
Salados and Norton, they've been combining well on the left flank here in the second half. Norton's been getting forward a bit more. It's now Jankovic, moments after coming, well, probably maybe not coming close, but having the chance to open the scoring, and now stoppage in play here. Is for an offside call. As you see, Port Melbourne preparing to make their second substitution of the game. It will be Christian Bombarci coming on. Oh. So, free kick for South. And they want to take this one quickly. Henry Hall. But Henry Hall's not going to get the chance as Port Melbourne make, well, their final change of the first half. They did bring on Tawib Tafik with their first one, forced to bring on Evan Marco Giannakis with their second one, and now Christian Bombarci with their third, and he will be replacing Ben Lifton. And can, well, the slightly more defensively minded Christian Bombarci coming on and immediately marshalling the defence. Jake Marshall looks up and not sure if that was intended for Salados or Norton. Definitely wasn't intended for Evan Marco Giannakis, but that's who has the ball now. Time continues to tick away, and if you had to pick a winner at this point, you would say it would be South Melbourne, but they have been unable to penetrate this Sharks defence and find a way into the net. And who knows, as Duggan chases the ball, strong punch from Clark. Who knows, if South do begin to commit numbers forward, looking for a goal against the 10-man Sharks outfit, are the hosts going to be able to find some joy on the counter? Tafik is bundled over by Jankovic. Clark, long diag. That one's definitely for Salados. Does well to keep it in initially, and he's going to eventually win the throw-in. Flicked over the top. Henry Horse trying to split man. It's going to spill out for Daniel Clark. Daniel Clark left-footed. Looked like it was a pass intended for Sawyer, but it was blocked away. Booted clear by Port Melbourne. Just there, the walking wounded at the moment. Looks like a bit hamstring injury there for the man that cleared it, but South are under no obligation to boot the ball out, but they will. And time will stop.
Well, this will be a nightmare. They've used the 3 subs, haven't they? So could be down to 9 for what? How long we got to go? About 15 or something? 15, 20, 10? I can't remember now. But anyway, the closing stages, and you'd have to be worried if you were Adam Pinnock, the coach here of Port Melbourne.
Perhaps a bit of cramping in the hamstring. Trainer is on, so we'll have to depart, at least for the next exchange of play. Here we go. We'll get restarted once again. Tafiq will give the ball to Duggan, who will give the ball back to Pierce Clark. And George Mills jogs back onto the field. Looks like it was just a bit of cramp. Looped over the top, headed clear by Wellsmore. It's going to come straight back. Bradley Norton getting more and more forward with every passing minute. He can tell where the tempo of this game is flowing. Daniel Clark. Just can they find Sawyer in the middle? That's who we all know they're looking for. Yankovic now coming up. The centre back, South. He's going to whip a ball in. It's not going to find anybody in a South Melbourne shirt, but it's just headed out by Aaron Reardon. We definitely haven't said Aaron Reardon's name in the second half as much as we did in the first half, have we?
No, not really. I think didn't he get forward early and had an effort or got involved in a good move, but otherwise, no.
Corner is taken quickly. Men forming. Nobody can collect it. Now, here we go. This is what we talked about, maybe. Transition. Duggan is on the ball, and he's going to give away the free kick there, Duggan. He clearly wanted to win one. Instead, he's given one away. Still pleading his case. But now you can see the perils of that decision, because South are going to be able to get a whole collection of their biggest and strongest players forward. However, they're not going to be able to find any. As Mark,
that is just a classic waste, isn't it? You know, they got how many big blokes has South got? The other lot are down to a player less and a keeper who has only just come on, and you've just got to put it on someone's head. You can't just put it straight into the goalkeeper's arms at this stage of the game.
Here we go, South coming once again. Can they find a man in the middle? And here we go, another set piece for the visitors. They're laying siege, and now look at this, pretty much everybody getting into that Sharks penalty area on the pitch.
Yeah, I can't understand why Port haven't left somebody up in the centre circle, though, just in case they can get a quick break.
See, Josh Wallen presents a short option there, unmarked on the right, and Juris Alados is hanging around outside the penalty area. I mean, let's face it, he's not winning any headers. Whipped in. Two Sharks players at the near post. Sawyer tries to get in front of Marco Giannakis. Somewhat similar to the manner that he opened the scoring against Heidelberg, getting in front of the goalkeeper. That, of course, was a ball in from a bit shallower up the field.
It is a bit land of the giants here, isn't it? When you look at the South Melbourne defence, there's quite a few big blokes, not just Sawyer up top.
And as we did observe, Marco Giannakis, not the world's tallest goalkeeper. Headed back in by Yankovic. Sawyer, and that's going to be a free kick. Is it going to earn Christian Babacci another yellow card? No, it's not. But South coming quickly again down the right flank. Initially, at least. Now, offside flag does get raised. So frustrations there for South. Henry Hall straying into an offside position. As you can see, South have only made the one change. And that was at half time. So clearly, Coach Esteban Quintas believes that his starters, for the most part, are going to be the ones that will find the breakthrough. Does have his bench warming up there. However, none of them have been called across just yet. Sense of urgency from Adam Pittick as he urges his side onwards. It's like, can they hold on and get an important point South desperate to avoid a third draw in a row.
Yeah, this would definitely be 2 points drop for South if they can't get a goal out of something here, given they've missed a penalty and they're up against 10 men.
Henry Hoare to nobody in particular, but neither was the clearance.
It's just all hands to the pumps now, I think, for Port Melbourne, isn't it?
Again, South trying to come down the right flank through Clark. Sawyer holds the play up. No, I mean, look at this. Bradley Norton is so desperate. He's playing as a number 9 at the moment. It's Bradley Norton. Salados trying to over. That's a poor ball.
It was too casual there. It looked all tricksy, but you can't take waste opportunities like that at this stage of the game. He's had a good game, Salados, but that was just a little bit too. I'm a bit clever there, I think.
Is an area of his game that he does need to work on, being a bit too cute. Fantastic player that he is.
Oh, not a word I like, cute. Overused, remarkably so.
Cheers.
No, not there. You've just used it once. I just meant in general societal terms. It's a word that grates because it's overused in every context where it's inappropriate.
Right. Jankovic heads the ball forward. Clark now chests it down, looking for Henry Hoare. Can't find him. He'll get another go with the ball as the referee signals 4 minutes of added time here at JL Murphy Reserve. 4 more minutes. 240 seconds for Port Melbourne to hang on. 240 seconds for South to find a winner. As Duggan gets back in front of Bradley Norton to deny him. As you said, it's all hands to the pump here, as Duggan's getting back to defend as well. Jankovic.
That's terrible, you know. A real waste of a ball forward there from Jankovic. Great urgency by Duggan. I mean, you know, he's worked his socks off all through this game, and he's chased one back there, denying an opportunity. You'd say Port, you know, given the way they've dug in, would deserve to get something out of this game. And to be honest, South don't deserve to get the 3 points, given the way they've squandered the numerical advantage, the penalty, and the opportunity that they had to stamp themselves on it in the last quarter.
A harsh grader is Michael Lynch. Perhaps South can muster some sort of creativity and spark in the final seconds of this game. Or perhaps does Port's fantastic defensive focus break down as they come again, do South Melbourne. Wallen, Salados, Norton, that's an excellent ball to find the captain. Oh, it's a brave clearance from Eager. He stood there, he knew Harrison Sawyer was coming, and Harrison Sawyer promptly did come through and absolutely walloped him.
Excellent defending there. That was the point, though, earlier. That was a really superb ball from Salados, who bisected the angle, found the overlapping man in space, and that's why I was so critical about 2 minutes ago when there was a similar opportunity and it just looked so casual, his disposal. That wasn't. That was sharp. That was precise. Created a really good opportunity and excellent defending by Eager to stand his ground. He took one for the team there.
That's a free kick given away by Brad Norton as he climbed over Duggan. Mayhaps he's thinking about being at the MCG and taking hangers. It's gone out for a throw-in from Port Melbourne. Port wanted a free kick. Probably deserved one, but now this is not going to be what the visitors want. Chance for Port to work the ball down into the corner. Duggan looking for a cross. Bounces off the chest of Josh Wallen. Eager is back up and no worse for wear, it appears, as he's directing traffic. Duggan knows exactly what he's doing there as he just boots the ball into the shins of Salados and wins another throw-in. Every throw-in taking valuable seconds off the clock. Tafik goes down, clutching his shin. He's not going to get the free kick. Exchange between Wellsmore and Salados as the play moves forward. Wanted a free kick, did the Port Melbourne bench, but it's ignored. And now here, can South muster it up? Surely this is, if it's not their last chance, it's their second last chance. Salados turns. Sliding challenge is fantastic from Wellsmore. The recovery maybe not so good.
No, he's done very well there. He stopped Salados with an excellent challenge, and he's won the throw-in, and he's going to waste time, and he's entitled to.
So, Emlyn Wellsmore, the young right back, the New Zealand Youth International. Is that the game-saving sliding challenge? Indeed, it might have been, as the referee blows full time here at JL Murphy Reserve. The points will be shared. A 0-0 draw. Both sides had their chances in the second half initially. Pierce Clark forced into making an absolutely miraculous save on his goal line from Jackson Courtney Perkins. But then, as the game progressed, it did begin to become all South Melbourne. Andrew Withers saw red for bringing down Harrison Sawyer as the big man threatened to break away, and South really applied the pressure, but just too wasteful as when they got inside the penalty area. Too many set pieces that weren't, well, anywhere near one of their big men, and just unable to break down a resolute Port Melbourne defence as the game is tied. As I said, the third draw in a row for South Melbourne as they prepare next week to head to Altona. Port Melbourne, well, they bounce back from their upset loss to Eastern Lions, and now they'll get set to head to Dandenong Thunder next week. They will be without Andrew Withers, who will be suspended now, but a chance to maybe get a win going against a side that has struggled. But as you were saying, Mick, is it in the end, is it 2 points dropped by South Melbourne?
Undoubtedly the case, you have to say, don't you, given the numerical advantage they had for, I don't know, what was it, last 15 minutes or so, and also you know, the fact that they missed a penalty. Port Melbourne, I think they'll take a lot out of this game in terms of their spirit, their resilience, and the way that they kept fighting and kept themselves in the game. Plenty to like for South in that first half when their high press and defensive structure really did strangle Port Melbourne and did give them many opportunities. But, you know, second half was much better, particularly that first half of the second half where both teams really did have a go. I think it was heading towards what I suggested might happen with 20 to go, when both teams might look at it and think, you know, should we take the point? Obviously that equation changed for South Melbourne, and as you just said, you know, they'll probably feel, and I think they should feel, that this is 2 points dropped by them. Port Melbourne, though, plenty to take out of it, so there you go. And of course, I did mention those who backed the goalless draw, they'd be in quids now, wouldn't they?
So it's finished 0-0 here at JL Murphy Reserve. In other games tonight around the top flight, Melbourne Knights have run out 3-0 victors over Hume City. So Melbourne Knights back on track after their first loss of the season last week. Another strong win for a side that's looking like they might do something this season. Heidelberg United are up 2-1 over Green Gully in their game. They've set over league-leading Green Gully. Score remains 0-0 between Bentley Greens and St Albans down at Kingston Heath. And Avondale FC are now 2 goals up over Dandenong City as they look to pile on the pain of Hajduk. But as I mentioned before, the score has remained 0-0 here at JL Murphy Reserve. Both sides with their chances. Neither side's able to actually find the back of the net. It was an entertaining second half, though, in the end, so hopefully you did enjoy the contest as you joined us on the NPL Victoria Facebook and or YouTube pages. I've been joined tonight by Michael Lynch, whose work you can read in the Sydney Morning Herald and the Age newspaper. I've been Joey Lynch. Be sure to read my work in ESPN, SBS The World Game, and basically anybody that will hire me. But for now, goodbye.